This episode is brought to you by Kia's first 3-row all-electric SUV, the Kia EV9, with available all-wheel drive and seating for up to 7 adults, with a 0 to 60 speed that thrills you 1 minute, and available reclining lounge seats that unwind you the next. Visit kia.com/EV9 to learn more. Ask your Kia dealer for availability. No system, no matter how advanced, can compensate for all driver error and or driving conditions. Always drive safely.
I'm Mo Rocca, and I'm excited to announce Season 4 of my podcast, Mobituaries. I've got a whole new bunch of stories to share with you about the most fascinating people and things who are no longer with us. From famous figures who died on the very same day, to the things I wish would die, like buffets. All that and much more. Listen to Mobituaries with Mo Rocca wherever you get your podcasts.
I couldn't be more excited to do a pod. Like I was pretty upset after Showgirls. I was even listening back. I was like, this is a lot, right? It's a lot. But then we gamed the system a little bit. You know, you pick Horrible Bosses 2, and it's, you know, just off the top, it's legitimately one of my favorite movies.
I'm staggered. I'm staggered by two things. One, I'm staggered by how low the Rotten Tomatoes score is.
Oh my God.
I don't understand how anyone can watch it and not. The first 10 minutes alone are just joke after joke after joke, and it's one of those things where you have to watch it, I think, a couple of times to pick up on every little joke, because Sudeikis doesn't stop talking the whole movie.
His efficiency is through the roof, despite his volume being through the roof. Like it's one of the greatest comedic performances I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's definitely, in terms of, you know, when Mayes sent the text saying they a lot of jokes per minute or whatever. Yeah. It was before you said that, I was saying to myself, this has to be the highest amount of jokes per line in the history of movies. Jokes that hit, by the way. They're not.
Yeah, not just bad jokes, right? Yeah. No, it's so, and I'm trying to take notes and write all these down and stuff. You know, you got to stop because I want to make sure I'm getting the right, quotes and everything. And so we're recording this at 3:00. I started watching this at 1:00, and I'm just gonna look. I am an hour and 5 minutes into the movie. It took me 2 hours to watch an hour and 5 minutes of the movie because I'm stopping so much to get notes. But I just love this movie. There are two movies that I always keep on my iPad just in case I'm not moved to watch anything on a flight. One of them is John Wick, the first one, and one of them is Horrible Bosses 2. I always keep it on my iPad, and I always end up going on a flight of 2-3 hours. I always just end up going to one of those. I've watched this movie so many times.
So our friend Tom Haberstroh does not like this movie. He thinks it's not funny. He doesn't like it at all. He thinks
our
it's kind of lame.
ex-friend Tom Haberstroh.
Absolutely. But here's the messed up part, Zach. I remember having this argument with him, and it's like 2 years ago, 3 years ago. It's a while ago, right? And since then, I might have seen it a couple of times, and every time I saw it, I was like, oh, I laughed. It's funny, da-da-da. But as luck would have it, this was a weird month where earlier than the beginning of November, I was on a flight, and Horrible Bosses was one of the movies they had. And I said, you know what? Love that movie. Let me watch it. And I watched Horrible Bosses, and I laughed, and it's funny, and it's great. And for the longest time, I've been one of these people who says, yeah, I get it. Horrible Bosses 2 isn't Horrible Bosses, but it's still a really funny movie. I think I stand here today, and I'm here to say, no, I sit in the closet no longer. I'm loud and I'm proud. This movie's funnier.
I've told you this. I've told you I find this movie funnier than Horrible Bosses. And I think Horrible Bosses is hilarious.
It's excellent. It's excellent. This movie's funnier. Unequivocally funnier. And even with all the great, if you haven't seen Horrible Bosses 2, you listen to how could it be? Pause right now. Go watch Horrible Bosses 2. This movie, from the beginning, all they do, it's like they did away with. And by the way, the plot isn't bad either. And
No,
I'm not
it's
going to
solid.
apologize.
Yeah.
It's a solid plot, and I love the villains in this movie and everything. This is a great movie, man.
You know the problem with Hollywood is? They make shit. Unbelievable, unremarkable shit.
So I was legitimately offended.
You were offended?
I was offended.
I didn't know you could get offended.
I was offended.
This did it.
I was absolutely offended.
They're fucking making shit up, I mean.
Inconsequential detail after inconsequential detail after inconsequential detail.
Bees don't lie.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm holding a mic in my hands, and now I'm talking all alone.
Welcome to Cinephobe, the podcast where we break down the movies you are afraid to admit you love, and if you don't admit you love this movie, I think you're a coward.
Coward.
I'm Zach Harper. That's Amin Hassan. Anthony Mayes producing the show. This week on Cinephobe, the 2014 comedy Horrible Bosses 2, which is the sequel to the 2011 comedy Horrible Bosses, which was well received. It's a 69% on Rotten Tomatoes, the first one. 70% with the audience.
Yeah. That seems low too, by the way.
It does seem low. Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah. Don't even get me started on that. Horrible Bosses 2 stars the same trio as the first one: Jason Bateman, Jason Sudeikis, Charlie Day. Bateman was coming off of Bad Words, which is one of my favorite comedies. And he was about to be in This Is Where I Leave You. He was also in The Gift. The next year, Jason Sudeikis was coming off of We're the Millers, and he was about to be in Sleeping with Other People. And then Charlie Day was coming off of Pacific Rim in the Lego Movie. He was obviously still on It's Always Sunny because that show is never going to end. We're also getting, I mean, it's just a banger of a cast. Jennifer Aniston, Christoph Waltz, Chris Pine, Kevin Spacey, Jamie Foxx, Jonathan Banks, who plays Mike Ehrmantraut in Breaking Bad, and Keegan-Michael Key makes an appearance at the beginning.
As does a couple other people who I don't like. You see them, you know who they are.
Oh, Sam Richardson is briefly in it. He plays Richard Spliff in Veep.
Yep.
He's briefly in it. Who else is in
Rob Hubel at the very end of the movie is in it.
Oh, yeah. He makes a cameo at the end as Pinkberry headquarters. Yep. This is written and directed by Sean Anders. He's written Sex Drive, She's Out of My League, Hot Tub Time Machine, We're the Millers, Dumb and Dumber 2, and both of the Daddy's Home movies. He's also directed Sex Drive, That's My Boy, and the Daddy's Home movies.
Up and down career for Mr. Anders.
Yeah, not all bangers, but he got one right here. Synopsis for Horrible Bosses 2 on IMDb is: Dale, Kurt, and Nick decide to start their own business, but things don't go as planned because of a slick investor, prompting the trio to pull off a harebrained and misguided kidnapping scheme.
I'm fascinated that IMDb wisely puts their names not in the order that they appear in the movie.
The tagline for this movie, which I actually think is good: new crime, same tools.
There you go.
That's pretty clever. Yeah.
That is. Yeah.
$42 million budget, grossed $54.4 million in the U.S. and 107.6 million worldwide.
Thank you, worldwide.
Printing money. Before getting into the rest of this episode, obviously tons of spoilers. It's only available to be rented, right?
Yeah, I rented it on Amazon.
I bought it years ago. Just go buy it. Trust me. Just go buy it. You won't be upset at the purchase. You're going to watch it over and over. You watch it on every flight. Horrible Bosses 2, Rotten Tomatoes, 34% from critics on 154 reviews, 47% from the audience on over 58,000 ratings.
How?
I don't understand it, Amin.
How do they watch it and not laugh?
I don't know. So, and even the reviews are just weak. So here are the good reviews, right? Michael Compton of Bowling Green Daily News. Fortunately for fans of the original, the comedic chemistry of the three leads still clicks. Chris Nashawate of Entertainment Weekly. It's the small, tossed-off moments, Bateman's deadpan mugging, Day's frenzied cluelessness, and Sudeikis' smarmy one-liners that land the best. Joe Newmailer of New York Daily News. Bateman has never been funnier on film because the zingers he launches are bounced off the oafish Sudeikis and the Faraday Day.
Yes, very well put.
Oafish. Let me see. Oh, Tom Russo of the Boston Globe agrees with us. A new misadventure whose negligibly refined formula somehow ends up being more consistently entertaining. I agree.
Yes. Thank you, Boston Globe.
Yeah. Robert Corger of Flickering Myth. What can I say? The chaotic camaraderie between the three leads is so infectiously fun. I could watch them stumble through attempted crime all day. I agree. These are the bad reviews. Okay. Abby Bernstein from Assignment X.
He already sounds like she's like fun.
Horrible Bosses 2. Yeah, if we had a poll, if we were ripping off Levitard, you could just ask the question, has anyone named Abby Bernstein ever had fun?
Who works at Assignment X?
Yeah. Horrible Bosses 2 suffers in part because it's not organized as a riff on anything in particular, and partly because a notable portion of its humor is based on racism, sexism, and homophobia.
What?
I don't know what she was watching.
All right, look, this is how ridiculous this is. I'm going to just take a random scene that we may not even get to because there's so much stuff in this movie, and just say the scene where they meet Chris Pine for the first time and they shake his hand and he touches the elbow and Chris Pine says, "Ooh, what a classy handshake."
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with sexism or anything. That's just a funny ass scene, man.
Jennifer Heaton of Alternative Lens. I did laugh a few times, but I equally found myself smacking my forehead in annoyance of how stupid these characters were sometimes. Yes, that's the point of the movie. They're hilariously stupid. They always get
different ways, though.
Yeah, yeah. They all have a different brand of stupidity. The scene in The Office, right, where he's making the pitch for the deal. Like, we'll get to that. All right. Alistair Ryder of Cinemole. This is a movie that has done the most worrying thing possible. Made me believe that I could pursue a career in comedy, as if standards are this low, anyone can do it. Alistair, I promise you, buddy, you cannot. This movie is comedic genius. Why did you pick this movie, Amin?
Well, I picked this movie for several reasons. You know, Cinephobe, it's fun when we do bad movies, but I said this like maybe 5 or 6 episodes in. It begins to rot your brain to do bad movie after bad movie after bad movie. And we always got to counter punch and bring something to bring the mood back up. And particularly if it you know, it fits the guidelines. It's not like I picked something that was a 90% or something that was 90% audience. Or this is something that universally was hated by critics and audiences. So it fits the guidelines. And then the other part of this is I really sometimes I want to know, is there something that I'm missing where I love this movie, but clearly the majority of people out there don't love it? What am I missing? What am I missing here that makes people not like this movie? And so hopefully when we get some responses from people listening to this episode and watch the movie, they can tell us.
Yeah, I don't understand it. All right, let's just dive right in. We start, and I will say, so I didn't finish this movie before, but I've seen it. Oh. I would guess 25 times. I've seen it a lot.
Wow.
Yeah, like I'll just throw it on randomly, as I like, you know, clean or cook or whatever. Like I'll throw it on randomly all the time. I'll throw it on before I go to bed all the time. Like oh my God.
I don't like house parties, but if I did, I would throw this on during a house party. Well, I don't like my house parties at my own house, I should say. I like house parties, not at my own house. By the way, got some trivia for you.
Ooh.
Jason Sudeikis stated in an interview that they wanted to put a gag in the film where Jamie Foxx's character says to Nick, Kurt, and Dale, "You crackers got to go. I have 3 other crackers coming in." And as the trio get up to leave, the 3 characters from the Hangover movies would come in and sit at the booth. They finally decided against it because it would take the audience out of the movie, which I just think is hilarious. The idea that was going too far.
That was
had right. Galifianakis and Ed Helms and Bradley Cooper walk in, right?
Yeah.
Well, they reference The Hangover, don't they?
They do. Well, they do in the outtakes. So there's a scene where Dale is coming out of the convenience store, and we just catch midway through the conversation between Nick and Kurt, and they're clearly playing Marry, Fuck, Kill with the Brady Boys. Like, marry Peter, fuck Greg, and whatever, you know, like. But in the outtakes, they do several versions of this. One of which is is The Hangover, and one of which is Bond. Like marry Daniel Craig, fuck Sean Connery, and kill Timothy Dalton. So that's what I love about this movie. Is like this. It's so obvious how many of these scenes where they're just going and they're trying to see who's gonna crack first. Yeah,
I like this. It's kind of like when you watch the outtakes from Eastbound and Down. You know, the Field in My Plums. Like this had to have been the most fun set to be on. Like just absolutely.
I got another piece of trivia for you.
All right.
The role that eventually went to Christoph Waltz was considered for Tommy Lee Jones and Jack Nicholson. And I got to say, I'm glad Christoph Waltz got it.
Yeah.
Oh, he's great. He's one of the best.
Oh, all right. All right, let's jump in. We're starting on the set of Good Morning Los Angeles. Nick, Kurt, and Dale.
A real show, by the way, if you don't live in LA. That is a real TV show.
Real show. They're going to be on to talk about the new business they've created together for the Shower Buddy. Dale, sweating profusely, says that they've quit their jobs, and Charlie Dale has 3 kids. Jason Sudeikis says, "Don't worry, do a good job here and make your 3 boys real proud." And Charlie says, "Girls, I have 3 girls." Sudeikis says, "So what? You can't even tell at that age. They're basically potatoes with arms."
By the way, he's sweating so hard. He's really nervous. And Kurt, who's Sudeikis, Kurt says, "Hey, don't worry. Everyone just relax. It's going to be easy. Everyone just be yourself." And Nick says, "Do not be yourself.
Do not be yourself. Ourselves are dumpster fire.
be a greater version." And Sudeikis says, "All right, good tip. Nobody be themselves."
They nailed the local morning show cliche so hard, right?
They're making a product that's gonna, the Shower Buddy that they hope is gonna clean up. And Dale laughs so delayed and
it's so delayed and it's so forced and hard, and he's like, and it's so out of place, but he's trying to be natural, right? Like it's so, oh my God, it's so funny. And so they're arguing over Shower Buddy versus Shower Daddy. Dale wanted to call the Shower Daddy. Kurt wanted the Shower Buddy. To which Nick then says Shower Daddy is basically worse on every single level. And
many levels.
Yeah. Keegan-Michael Key goes, "I have to agree with Nick." And I don't know why the way he delivers that is so funny to me. So they're arguing. He goes, "It's just strange guy in the shower with you." He goes, "Not a strange guy. It's your buddy." He goes, "Why would your buddy be in the shower with you?" He screams, Why would your dad?
And by the way, Bateman throughout this whole scene is just dropping undertow after undertow after undertow. So when they start, Sudeikis says, "Our buddy Dale had an amazing idea," and Bateman says, "Don't go to Dale." He just whispers underneath, and then when they're yelling at each other about buddy or daddy, says, "Don't scream on television." So they go through they go through a demonstration.
Yeah.
There's a comical kind of like, oh, it looks like he's jacking them off, like the old Austin Powers, where they're actually trying to fix something, but from
lube onto the rod, the pump, right, and he plugs a hole in the back and makes it look like stick a finger in his ass and everything. Finally, it comes out. We see the product work. Keegan-Michael Key says he wants to
invest.
He wants to invest. He's like, "How do I get in touch?" And Amin, I will have you deliver the line because I'm not going to get tripped up on this one.
Says you can go to our website, niggerdale.com. And when everybody stops, says, "Wait, what?"
I'm positive I'm not hearing that right.
Yeah, he said, "Yeah, our website is niggerdale.com.
So three names: Nick,
nickdale.com.
He's like, you guys got to change that. Y'all got to change that name.
And then they cut to the next scene is them.
They're at a bar, right? They're at a restaurant bar or whatever, just drinking beers. I was like, I can't believe we never said that out loud.
By the way, this is the same bar from Horrible Bosses 1 where the buddy comes by and propositions them for $40 hand jobs. The buddy that worked for Lehman Brothers.
Right. So then they get a call from an unknown number. They're playing the Jason Sudeikis, Kurt. Kurt's ringtone is "Roar" by Katy Perry. and we find out Boulder Stream wants a meeting with them. And Boulder Stream
first of all, before the call comes in, they're depressed. Their idea, which seemed like it could be promising, now looks like it's about to fail. And Bateman's character, Nick, says really dejectedly, I guess, as much as we want to be our own bosses, we're just cogs in the machine. To which Sudeikis says, "Cocks in the machine? What is that?" Cogs. Call comes in.
Yeah.
Boulder Stream's on the line.
Largest manufacturing company, right? And so
it's a distribution company.
Or distribution
it's like
company.
Amazon, basically.
Right. And so he says, "Oh yeah, just send me an email. My email address."
No, not your
says,
email.
Don't give your email. And he says, "It's fat balls, PHATBALLLZ @hotmail.com."
Hotmail.com.
Then he's excited. He plays the song. He says, "See, when you're sad, it's a bad song. Happy, good song, and that's real art." Now we're at Boulder Stream. They're in the lobby. Dale is eating chocolate chip cookies. Kurt is teaching him how to touch the elbow with your other hand when you give someone a handshake.
Classy move,
right? And he tries it. He's getting chocolate on Nick on Nick's jacket, and they're arguing over that. Rex Hansen comes in, played by Chris Pine. They do the handshake. Kurt does the handshake, and he goes, "Oh, that's a classy handshake." Like, it's just like these little things of like, he always says something, and Nick always denies it, right? He's always like, "That's a stupid idea," and then it ends up being something that's a thing, right? I love that dynamic from both movies.
Yeah, and then Dale tries it, messes it up, and says, "I just learned it."
Yeah. He like grabs his elbow, right? Like he messes up with their hands or whatever.
So anyway, they go up to his office, right?
Yeah.
And he gives them a pitch. He tells them, "Hey, we love it. This thing's a home run idea. We'll give you a one-time fee,
and we're gonna take over everything, right? Do it in China."
But before he does that, he says he wastes a lot of time showing them trinkets in the office. Says, "Hey, you see this is the da-da-da from this. And I see this football. This is the football that Peyton Manning threw,
and the guy caught
in his helmet, whatever." And so then he calls. He says, "Oh, hold on, before you guys can answer, say hold on." Calls in his personal assistant. She walks in, gorgeous young lady.
Yeah.
And he says to her, "Hey, we're trying to figure out beer cans. What are they made out of again?" And she says, "Aluminium," because she's British and she has an accent. And he says, "That'll be it." And she walks out. And Sudeikis says, "Jesus fucking Christ." Where does she go?
He grabs Dale's arm. He in like amazement, right? Like just he's stunned.
Where does she go now? So he basically says, "All right, guys, this is my offer. You can take it or leave it." Nick says, "Hey, let's I want to convene with my partners." He says, "Sure, take your time." So he says, "What do you guys think?" Dale says, "I didn't want to say anything, but I think you meant Eli Manning, not Peyton."
Nick says, "Yeah, Kurt."
Yeah, maybe. Kurt says, "I think she has an amazing body, but the accent puts her over the top." And Nick says, "Agreed on both points, but I meant about the deal." He's just so patient with them. Sometimes he's so patient with them.
Yeah. Because you could tell, like, he just lives this, right? He's always having to focus them back. They say that they have to take what I like about this too, and you'll notice this happens throughout the entire movie. Whenever they're debating something, Sudeikis just agrees with every point that's made.
With the last thing that anyone says.
The last thing anyone says, he just agrees with it. He's like, "Oh, that's a good point. Oh, yeah, that's a good point."
Because while they're arguing whether they should take the money, Dale says, Charlie Day says, "Oh man, I really could use the money for I have triplets and the wife." And he says, "Yeah." And Sudeikis says, "Yeah, I could use the money." And Bateman says, "Well, hold on now. I think as he said it himself, it's a home run. I say we bet on ourselves." Sudeikis says, yeah, we should bet on ourselves. He literally, but with the same kind of like, oh yeah, the same lack of resistance to any idea.
Lack of resistance and like careful. It's like he's saying it with careful consideration, right? Like he just agrees to everything. And so they decided they're going to bet on themselves. Rex says it takes balls to walk away from $3 million. Now they want the deal, but the deal's off the table. Charlie asked for half. He said the deal's done, right? Then Bert Hansen, played by Christoph Waltz, walks out of the bathroom. It's his office. He scolds Rex for using his office. Says, what did I tell you about using my office when I'm away? He had been out of town. He talks to them about how he built his empire from the ground up, offers them a deal that's going to get them a business loan with his bank, and says he's going to buy 100,000 units, but he's got to be the sole distributor. And he's like, do we have a deal? And Sudeikis goes, yeah, you've got a fucking deal.
He goes, oh, let me think about this.
Yeah, he's like, oh, let me think about it. Yeah, you got a fucking deal. I just love the way he delivers that. Charlie goes to shake his hand with the classy handshake. He gets it right, but he gets chocolate on Bert's jacket. Yeah. Now we have a building montage of them setting up the warehouse. They're interviewing hot women to work for them. Sudeikis is just hiring every single hot woman that comes through, no matter how unqualified. One of the lines he says is, your eyes speak. She has no resume. One of them walks in with no resume. He says, your eyes speak for yourself. You seem honest. Yeah. And then they bring up to me, you can't just hire hot, unqualified women. Wait, before that, it's the last one, right? He hires the black woman, and it says, Tiffany, you're hired. And they hug, and he goes, all right, get out of here. We'll see you Monday. But when he says you're hired, he says, you've got, your eyes are honest. And he says, you're hired. She's like, really? He goes, if you'll have us, right? It's just
So they tell him, yo, man, like you can't, we're not going to sleep with any of these women. Can't sleep with these women. And he says, what's he talking about?
Yeah, he points at me. He goes, what's he talking about? Like, he had no idea. So he's like, you're the boss. It's called sexual harassment. He says, so I got to fire them all now? He said, you can't fire them for not sleeping with you. That's also sexual harassment.
Then why are we even doing this? So anyways, long story short, they get the 100,000 units made, and it's 3 days early, and everything is great. And so they decide to go surprise the elder Hansen on the golf course with, hey, a cake says, thank you for believing in us, and we got the order ready. And that's when Christoph Waltz's character reveals his fiendish plan. He says, on second thought, I'm canceling the order. And they said, we can't cancel the order. We're 500 grand on the hole. And he says, I know that. And I know that your lender, which is the bank that I hooked up for you guys, is not going to extend credit on you guys. So you're going to go into default, which means your business is going to go into auction where I'm going to buy it for pennies on the dollar and basically cheaper than it would have been for me to have this made in China. And I'm going to name it the Shower Pal. And that's when it hits them, and they're like, wow, it's a better name.
Rex talks shit. Bert
hits these guys for crowns because they got fucked royally.
And he's like, they know they've accepted their defeat. There's no need to rub it in, right? So he's always scolding Rex. And Sudeikis like walks up. He's like, hey, buddy, you don't want to make enemies out of us. And Christoph Waltz just steps right in his face and goes, I make enemies every day. It's called business. And Sudeikis like, hey, I didn't walk up on you like that.
Anyway,
they take the cake and the balloons, and the balloons smack them on the way out. I love that. That's a nice little touch. So now they're arguing over who gets the blame for betting on themselves. They decide they need to come up.
The line is they're at first they're just going nuts. Sudeikis says, what happened to decency?
Yeah.
And then
so I'm gonna have to get a job. I'm gonna get a divorce.
Yeah, Dave says I'm gonna get divorced, and I'm gonna only see my kids at McDonald's on visitation. And then right under his breath, Bateman says, what were we thinking betting ourselves? Why the fuck would we do that? He says fuck so hard. I'm like, oh man. Yeah. So anyways, so they say, let's think about what we could do. No idea is a bad idea. Let's brainstorm. First idea out. Let's kill these motherfuckers.
Yeah, they write murder on the board.
Like, how is that going to help us?
Anyone. Right,
how is this going to help us? Yeah. How is this going to help us pay off our debt? He said, we're going to harvest their organs and sell them on the black market. What about So they keep coming up with terrible ideas.
So what about the movie Speed?
The plot of the movie Speed.
Plot of the movie Speed. Oh, we'll put a bomb on the bus.
What the fuck is that? You said no idea was no idea was a bad idea. I was wrong. That idea sucks. This movie sucks, and you guys suck.
He's like that movie introduced us to Sandy Bullock. He goes, I fucking love Sandra Bullock. Sorry, I'm running hot.
So finally,
he takes the marker.
Well, no, someone says something about.
No, so he grabs the marker. He grabs the marker. He goes, "Come on, give me the marker back. We got right ideas now." He goes, "You want the marker? Give me $500,000 for it. That's how you get the marker."
So you hold the marker hostage, and that's when Sudeikis has the idea. He says he grabs a marker and he writes on the board, KIDNAPING, and it says, "There's a solution." Bateman says, "What's kidnapping?"
He says kidnap, and he goes, with one more P it is. That's kidnapping.
Well, how the fuck you spell it? He says, what the fuck do you know about kidnapping? And I said, I know someone who does. Who? Motherfucker Jones. He says, Jesus Christ. Before we do that, let's go to someone with some real business experience. And they go to see Kevin Spacey in prison.
Yeah.
And Kevin Spacey says, hello, Nick. Hello, guy who saved me. Hello, guy who fucked my wife. To which Sudeikis says, it was a blowjob. It was a blowjob only. They're doing the thing over the phone.
Yeah.
At the prison, and says, and so he starts to tell him about what's happening. He says, I know what happened to you guys. I know that guy really well. I love how he bent you 3 idiots over a barrel and showed you the 50 states. Sudeikis says, told you it was a saying. Yeah. It's a callback, of course, to the first movie where Sudeikis says, I'm gonna bend her over and show her the 50 states, and Bateman says that's not a saying, and he says, yeah, of course it is.
But I like what he says. He says, see, I told you I was saying, like, Bateman just goes, wow. Like, he just, like, and anytime he says, like, that's not a thing, it's like, it just brings it back and it ends up being true. Spacey's laughing at how dumb they are, calls them fucking morons. And he says, because you're all fucking morons. And Sudeikis goes, yeah, you're right. You shined a light on that one.
There's plenty that could be done, but you won't do it. And do you want to know why?
No, not really.
Because you have no balls.
I see. Okay.
And your fathers had no balls. You were all the product of generations of ballless men who were either too weak or too frightened to stand up and take what was theirs. And one day, you will pass on your empty, shriveled sacks to your own pitiful offspring.
Charlie Day can't hear any of this because he's on the other side of the phone. So he says, I can't hear it. I gotta be honest, I can't hear a single thing. What is he talking about? And Sudeikis says, our nutsacks mostly. How did that come up? It's in the kidnapping. Grow some balls. You want to see some balls, Kurt? Kidnap someone, you'll end up in here, then you'll see plenty of balls on your forehead. Why are they on my forehead? Is the dick on top of my head? It makes no sense. I'm upside down. Yeah.
He's like, Yarn, your face is getting fucked. So now we go to the bar to meet motherfucker Jones.
Same bar, by the way. The same bar they met him at the same time. And at the first time, same booth and everything.
Same bar, same booth, same everything. And so he's like, Bateman's trying to say kidnapping's a terrible idea, right? And he wants motherfucker Jones to talk him out of it. And he's like, name one movie where the kidnappers got away with it. And he goes,
where they weren't dead or incarcerated at the end of the movie. I said, 9 to 5. Name me 2 movies.
He says, no, you said name one movie. Boom, right in your face. And then Sudeikis goes, 9 to 5 was this movie.
I know what the fuck 9 to 5 is. Bitch got the old titties.
Yeah,
he's got all the titties.
It's like it's about the white bitch with the big ass titties. She got older, titties got younger.
Can I pose the question to you colonizers? To its Raymond says that happened a long time ago.
So you know what bothers me? Is when everyone attributes colonizers to Black Panther, to the movie Black Panther, right? Because of Michael B. Jordan's characters, calls them colonizers, whatever. And I think it's from this movie. I think this is the movie that should be referenced.
Jamie Foxx's character said colonizers first.
Yeah.
Years ago, like 4 years before Black Panther came out.
Yeah. So he says he'll give him the watch. He says he'll give him the plan.
I'll help you guys. I need $50,000. They said we have no money, so that's not going to work. $600. It's the weirdest negotiating style. So it says, how about that watch? You give me that watch. and Bateman says, you can borrow it while you give us your shitty plan.
Yeah. It's a tag.
Gives him the watch. Gives him the watch, puts the watch on. And he says very kind of ominously, "That's what you do. Slip him a Mickey." And they just sit there in silence for a second. And Bateman says, "Give me the watch, man." That's the ultimate shutdown, man.
He's like, Mickey, it's like the date rape drug. Where do we get them? And he says,
I know.
Why the fuck do you? He's like, why the fuck do you think I would know where the date rape or where to get date rape drugs? He's like, you told us to get them. He's like, you brought it up. He says, you've got N-word in your eyes.
Why are your eyes saying the N-word? This is Sudeikis. Why are your eyes saying the N-word? You got clan eyes. You ever take an eye test? Oh, you pick out of the K's. So they go, they move on. They go get supplies to execute this heist where they're going to kidnap Chris Pine's character. This is where the Marry Fuck Kill the Brady's thing is happening. Dale comes back with supplies, and he's got Dora the Explorer walkie-talkies. Nick, who usually is on top of shit, says,
"Oh my god, this is one of the funniest exchanges."
Why don't we just use our phones? To which Charlie Day goes nuts and says, "Let's just use our phones to keep a record of everything we say and do and where we are."
Watch the fucking news.
Hey, Obama, I'm breaking into my old office.
And Sudeikis says, it's just the three of us doing this. It's not the three of us in the NSA, you dipshit.
They shit on him so hard. But anyway, the plan is to break into Dale's old office, basically Charlie Day's old office, which is the dentist where Jennifer Aniston was the sexual harassment queen, I guess,
right? And
steal some laughing gas from there so that they can gas the dude, kidnap him, and then execute the plan. They get there. Sudeikis and Charlie Day go inside. Bateman plays lookout, and again, this isn't high-level comedy, but just the number of times they say his name. We say, "Can you not say my name on the radio?" Why not? Because someone could be using the frequency. Oh, good idea. There's the old Hendrix brain. And now you've used both my first and my last name. And so they keep coming up with reasons to say stuff. So we should come up with code names. I'm going to be the Blade. I'm going to be, this, that.
Majestic Lion, right.
I don't give a fuck what you call yourselves. How about Saint Nick for you? Said my name 4 fucking times.
You just get the gas and get out of there. And so he's yelling. So then Julie comes, played by Jennifer Aniston. Julie comes with the support group, and he's trying to warn them that they're going to walk into the building, but these idiots have their thumb pressed down on the button, so nothing comes through except for their arguing about nicknames. So he can't warn them. They hide in the bathroom of the lobby of the dentist's office. They start setting chairs up. The group starts setting chairs up. It's a support group. It's a sex addiction support group. Bateman comes to warn them. He's like sneaking around to warn them. A cop busts him, but the cop is there for the support group as well. He's not doing security, so he brings in Bateman into the meeting, but Bateman thinks it's an AA meeting. So he's talking about his addiction and like, oh yeah, he's just face down on the floor with the fellas every night and just chugging one. It makes like the
chugging one after the other, double fisting. So like, those idiots are hiding in the bathroom. And they're is he telling the truth? But I don't know. But if he is, good for him.
So
it's good. It's good to have a gay friend in the group. It is. It makes the group more colorful.
So he then gets told no, what's your sex addiction? And he's like, my sex addiction, or she says, so your sex addiction is gay. By nature or something like that. And he goes, my sex addiction. And then they drop the canister right in the bathroom. They make a noise. And then he starts saying he starts telling a story like, oh, let me tell you, it's not gay, but let me tell you about this time in wrestling camp.
Did you guys wear those tight little onesies?
Singlets? Is that what they're called?
That's right. Singlets. Tight little spandex offering a clear little outline of, say, a circumcised helmet.
Oh, boy.
Might get warm.
Okay, maybe someone else should share.
No. Let's go to the unit.
Sorry?
What was the unit like on this little boat? Was it veiny, smooth, little turtleneck, anteater?
I don't know. Pretty normal.
Starter penis?
Not the words I would have used, but...
Now, did this penis ever, at any point, find its way into your mouth?
Jesus.
Julia, no, you're not going to pull this stunt again.
What stunt is that?
Stopping a meeting early so she can try to flip another gay.
Really?
She always wants what she can't have. Listen, relax, okay? He's not even gay. He had one cock when he was 14, and it hasn't even made its way into his mouth yet.
Well, if you'd let me finish.
So you did eat that cock.
You're asking if I sucked it?
I know you sucked it. I just want to hear you say it.
Okay, Blanston, you don't have to say it.
Ross, shut your mouth,
Yeah,
please.
shut up and let him share. So you ate it.
Please say yes, please say yes. You want to know if I ate that dick?
Did you suck that cock like a bomb popped down to the blue?
You want the answer?
Give it to me, Blanston.
I ate that dick, I ate those balls, and I licked that kid's sweaty asshole.
Damn right you did,
That's
because
right.
you are awesomely gay.
I am super gay, never been straight. You know what else I've never been? Inside a woman.
Meeting adjourned.
Everybody else.
Son of a bitch.
Gets it to where she ends the meeting, kicks everyone out, and they're going to go fuck in the dentist's office.
They end up while she goes in the office to get ready, he tells the guys in the bathroom, go ahead and get out. And as they're escaping, he's closing the door after them. And so, wait, what are you doing? He said, I'll be right out. I got to complete the diversion. Sudeikis says, I thought you were gay. I'm not gay. Oh, you're bi.
He says, I'm not bi. And then the confused look that Sudeikis gives is like, it's Rob Corddry reaction levels to me for the callback to what was it, Heartbreak Kid, right? Like, yes. It's like he's just so confused and like furls his brow and like cocks his head. He just doesn't understand that he's trying to figure out what Nick is at that point. So they're working on so Kurt and Dale are working on the ransom note. They've got it all laid out on the paper. And then when Bateman comes into the car, he closes the door and all the letters blow off the paper because Charlie wasn't gluing them down.
By the way, Charlie reads the letter out loud as they first complete it. And Sudeikis looks at him and says, I wish you were there to read it to him. That voice is so sinister. And then he says, I hope this doesn't sound cocky. I think we're really good at this. We're not murderers. We're really good at kidnapping.
And so he starts, Bateman comes in. He starts talking about like having like how incredible the sex was with Julie and everything. And they start teasing him. They go, what do you love her? And there's a long pause and he goes, no. And Charlie tells, that was a real long pause. And Sudeikis goes, that's a fucking moment of silence. So now they go to Rex's house to kidnap him. They go up to the front door and they say they've got a plan and they just try. I love this. They just try to open the door, right? And it's locked. He goes, it's locked. He goes, the plan didn't account for a locked door. He goes, well, it's 50-50. How do you figure? And Charlie says, well, it's either locked or unlocked. It's basic math. What's up with you tonight? He's concerned that Nick's the one screwing all this up.
Your plan sucks. Your math sucks.
So then they ring the doorbell, and it's what's the song? Do you know the song? I know it's a song from the 80s.
I don't know the song. I didn't recognize the song.
The only part I know is the part they sing. You're like, no matter what you do, I will always be with you. Yeah, and they're like, and he's like, all right, you guys got to be quiet. You guys got to be quiet. And they keep getting louder and louder as they sing the song to each other. And he's like, shut the fuck up. He's like, wow, you got to be quiet. Yeah. He tries they try to use the credit card, right?
Yes.
So he's like, oh, give me a credit card. I've seen it in a movie. He used the credit card to like jimmy the lock open, and it just slides right through the door and falls inside the house. He goes, Sudeikis goes, oh, there it is, just staring right back at us. And he's like, they try to bail, and he's like, no, my credit card's in there. And they're like, just call and cancel it. They'll send you one overnight. Like, it's real quick. And he's like, well, no, they'll know I'm here because my credit card's here. And Sudeikis goes, well, technically they'll know you were here. So you can already tell there's no camaraderie here. There's no like, oh, we're in this together. They're always gonna like just dime each other out, which is like a consistent worry between all of them if one of them gets caught. Rex's maid shows up, walks in the house. They sneak in behind her. They grab the credit card.
The maid shows up. Is that his wife? No, that's a 93 Civic she's driving, and she's carrying his dry cleaning. So I'm gonna go with it's his maid. To which Sudeikis says, he married his maid? There's a lot of these little dumb lines that I know, but I just think are hilarious, man.
They're great. She does the dishes. Rex comes home as they try to sneak out. So now they got to run into the closet in the bedroom. Rex is a complete asshole to his maid. He's like racist and everything. He's mocking her like Asian accent and everything. He said he threatens to fire her because there's like water droplets in the sink. Says he's joking. Says I wouldn't fire you on your birthday. Gets a call. She goes to like. So he's on the phone. She goes to put a dry cleaning away. She then scrubs her ass with the toothbrush.
Not going in deep enough.
Yeah, which is a callback to the first movie when Sudeikis does that. He's like, that's my thing. She's not going too deep enough. Then Rex comes in. He brushes his teeth. They're loving it. So now they're going over the plan. And he says, all right, so Dale starts the gas. So then Dale turns the gas on because he thought he was saying start the gas now. The nozzle gets broken. So now it's just leaking out. They get high. They pass out. It cuts to the morning. They're woken up by Sudeikis' ringtone of "Roar" by Katy Perry again. So when they're like sneaking out of the house, but they don't know if he's home, and he goes, "We don't know where he is. Like we don't know if he's home." And so Charlie just screams, "Rex, Rex!" He's like, "Why? What if he was home?" He goes, "I didn't think that far ahead." Sudeikis is he's just like dying at the view. Like he's so impressed by everything. So now they drive back to the warehouse. They're talking about how they've dodged a bullet. They almost made the biggest mistake of their lives. When they get to the warehouse, they hear something in the trunk. It's Rex. He's tied himself up and pretended to be kidnapped. He gets out of the car. He's just laughing because he can't believe the look on their face and everything. He takes them into their office, says he's underestimated them, that they've got balls, and he wants in on the kidnapping idea. We find out he sent the ransom note to his dad for $5 million. He upped the ante on it, said that he's going to get 4 of it. They get 1, and they double their money. And they're saying, like, no, we're out. Like, we don't want to do this. He basically says you have to. He starts to beat himself up to say, like, I'm just going to tell the police that you kidnapped me and you threatened me.
Holy shit, he's fight clubbing himself.
He's fight clubbing himself.
So I had a question here. Was that scene where we see the hidden cameras, was that always in the movie, or was that like one of those added in now director's cut?
I remember that. I remember that from the first time I watched the movie.
I had no memory. I'm like, oh man, it shows her like going to town on this.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So yeah, they're like, hey, someone was in here last night. She's like, yeah, it was my sex support group. And they're like, no, before that login. So she checks the cameras. She sees that those 3 guys were there. Wants to know why Dale was with Blanston, which was the fake name he gave. Then she like has them watch has the secretaries watch her have sex with him. Then we cut to they need to make the ransom call, right?
The ransom call.
All right, guys, it's ringing. Remember, you guys hold all the cards, game faces. You are going to crush this.
Okay, wait, hold on. He knows what we sound like. We gotta like use an accent or something. You know what I mean?
No
like
accents.
Some sort of
That's
voice.
ridiculous. It's a great idea, Curdy.
Boulder Stream.
Oh my God, who is this? The secretary?
The secretary.
Hey, homie. Let me speak to Mr. Bert Henson. No, I don't mind holding. Yeah, I just barely even called you right now already.
That's incredibly racist.
Super racist.
Just do a southern accent.
Southern, I got. Southern, no problem.
Henson.
Well, howdy there, partner. This here's the gents what got your youngin' and all, and well, we got some talking to do.
Southern, not old prospector.
I thought that was pretty good.
Listen, you low-life bottom feeder. I don't have time for this little fuck around. Either this ends right now, or it ends with bullets in your skulls.
Now, you hush there. You don't scare us one bit. We got your boy. I bet that tears you up something fierce.
Yeah? How do I know you really have my boy?
Dad, is that you? Please, they're crazy. They told me if you call the police, they'd kill me. Please do whatever they say. I don't want to die, Dad. No police.
Oh, God!
Rex, where are you?
Now, you listen here. Y'all gonna have to wrestle up that $5 million in cash.
We're looking at all hundreds.
Unmarked.
Unmarked.
No traces.
No traces and no dye packs neither.
Sure.
Otherwise, we gonna take your boy and string him up by his pretty little neck with the roughest, coarsest piece of rope we got in our rope inventory. You understand? You got 24 hours before he dead.
It might be one of the funniest scenes I've ever seen in my life.
It's so, like he just loses complete control over what he needs to say. It's just making it up on the go, and it's so bad. Like everything they do is just so bumbling and stupid. They drive back to the warehouse. We find out the police are involved. Bert Hansen.
First of all, as they're driving back, everyone in the car other than Nick, is very happy about.
Oh, they love it. Yeah. It went so well.
At some point, Nick, played by Jason Bateman, gets upset and he says, "Get your mouth off his dick." And they're all talking at the same time. And I don't know if you noticed, Chris Pine in the back say, "Whoa,
Yeah,
take it down a notch." He does a really good job of. There's several times in this movie where Charlie Day and Sudeikis are talking, and he manages to like slip in, like do the same thing, like kind of the chemistry works, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah. No, he fits in. He slides in perfectly with their whole dynamic. So now he's got to hide. They got to get out and talk to the detectives. They kind of, they're playing dumb. Like it's not their building, right? Like it's not their warehouse. It's not their.
Does anyone really own anything?
Right. Yeah. He's like, matter and space. And he's like, yes, this is our place. He's like, a Bert Hansen? I'm like, Bart, what? It's like Bart Hansen? No, I don't know Bart Hansen. He's like, really? Because I heard you guys had a deal with him. Maybe that deal went south. He goes, oh, Bert Hansen. Yes, yeah, we know. He's like, yeah, it's horrible. We definitely don't think his kid should have been, kidnapped or anything. His son should have been kidnapped. He's like, I didn't mention anything about kidnapping. And then they just start talking in circles. Like just talking in circles to where Sudeikis like, yeah, because I remember you used that word. I thought kidnapping. What a weird word. Right? They just talk in circles and circles and circles.
It's going to be kidnapping.
Yeah, it should be kidnapping, right? And so finally he's like, the detective turns to the cop. He's like, did I say kidnapping? He's like, I don't know. I kind of got lost in everything they were jabbering about, but yeah, you might have. He's like, all right, maybe I did. It's been a long day. Says he's got to be in touch with them. So now they get everyone out of the factory, out of the warehouse. They go and they're consoling Chris Pine. They're consoling Rex, who was just
now knows. Yeah, because now he knows, because they said in the ransom call, as we heard in the ransom call, don't call the cops or we'll kill your son. And once the cops show up, he knows he called the cops. So
yeah,
he knows he doesn't really care about him like that. And so he's sad and he's crying. And Charlie Day and Sudeikis start feeling bad for him. Say, look at how blue his eyes are when he's crying.
And they're like doing, like, as he's like trying to talk about like, no, we're still going to do this. Right. Like he gets to a point where he's like, no, we're going to do this. We're going to pull this off. We're going to, fuck my dad over and all this stuff and getting that money. And as he's trying to talk Nick into the reasons for why they need to like stand up for themselves and take a stand and everything, like Sudeikis and Charlie they're just like hype manning him in the back to an annoying degree to where he like keeps having to stop. And he's like, guys, I got this.
They don't stop talking.
They're constantly talking. There's so much dialogue.
It's pretty incredible that they're able to keep talking and everything they say is hilarious, by the way. But you have to focus at one at a time to kind of figure out what they're saying.
That's why I don't understand the criticism from the reviews, right? Because like, I think you have to watch it a couple of times, like you said, to catch everything. But the first time I watched it, I was still dying.
Oh, it's still dying because you got lines like this where Bateman accuses Sudeikis and Day of having Stockholm syndrome because they're feeling bad for this dude. And Sudeikis says, "What's that? Jet lag?" I'm telling you.
And when they're talking about like, when they're trying to say like, no, your dad, he loves you and everything. And and Sudeikis turns to Charlie and he's like, can you imagine, if this happened to your girls, like you'd call the cops? And he goes, no, I don't think I would. I couldn't take that risk. They just completely undercuts their entire like pitch to him of like why he's still loved and everything.
Again, a recurring theme where someone undermines the whole purpose of what they're trying to do. by just being honest at the wrong time.
Right, being honest at the wrong time. They're constantly getting in their own way, and so now they need to figure out a drop plan. Jason Bateman doesn't want to keep doing this, but they convince him, like, all right, if we come up with a plan that you feel is, will work, then we do this. But if not, we all go our separate ways, right?
Montage. They come up with
the
plan. The plan, like they fantasize how the plan is supposed to work. It's actually a pretty good plan, right? Where they have separate phones and
dark
one
phones.
phone under the bench, and then you get the other instructions to go somewhere else, and somewhere else is an underground parking garage, and so they won't have a signal for the wire, and then they'll exchange the money so that to make sure there's no tracer in the bag, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's like a good plan, and at the end of it, they're like, we'll celebrate, and they're all by a pool, and there's money and there's women, and then there's Charlie Day and his wife and kids there. And they said, get your kids out of the fantasy. And he says, that's how I like to fantasize. The fantasize about my family or whatever. So Chris Pine is congratulating them on coming up with such a great plan. Great idea to go underground. That was from Bateman. Great idea with the dark phones. That was from Sudeikis. Sudeikis says, I got that from Grand Theft Auto. So then they see motherfucker one more time, don't they?
They do. They go see motherfucker tell him the plan to make sure that he likes it. He's like, good luck, boys. He starts laughing to himself, like, what are you laughing about? And he's like, I just said good luck. He's like, nah, it's a sinister giggle. A little advice, and they're like, nah, we're good. And he's like, fine, get the fuck on then. And they're like, no, hold on. We got to hear what he wants to say.
It says, y'all are criminals now.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And to which Bateman says, it's never good advice, is it? He's so exhausted. Every line is delivered with this exhaustion.
Yeah.
Oh man. So he says, you guys are criminals. You got to act like criminals.
Shut the fuck up. See, you can't have this both ways. Every time you guys come in here, you're like, oh, we're just a bunch of happy-go-lucky guys. Once again, through no fault of our own, we found ourselves in another pickle that we can't get our fingers out of our asses. Fuck that chicken shit.
There you go. They meet up with Chris Pine one last time.
Yeah, they put him in the warehouse, right? In the abandoned warehouse.
He gives them a keepsake, which is a claw from the original Predator movie, and he's like, hey, I want you guys to have this. And he looks at Charlie Day, says, you like Predator, right? He's like, I love Predator. And looks at Sudeikis, says, you love Predator too. He's like, I love Predator too, not the sequel. I mean, I love Predator also. And then he gives it he looks at Bateman, says, you love Predator, and he says, well, not at first, but over time it's grown on me. Because Charlie Day says, is this a metaphor? I'm sorry, I'm terrible at metaphor.
Like, are we still talking about Predator?
They tell him to sashay onto the floor.
Like, yeah, you got that sack of cash. He's like, I want you to sashay up to the 4th Street Bridge. You're going to find a bench up there about halfway up. I want you to take a load off. Like, come along if you do. We'll return your son to your home. Lickety splickety. So the cops are listening in. They can't trace it, but they give him the sack of cash, and he says, Christoph Waltz says, this bag is your number one priority. He goes, no, your son's life is. And you're like, you know what I mean? He's like, yeah, I think I do. So now
the plan is in place. They got the room with the telescope. They can see where Christoph Waltz is. He sits down on the bench. Cool. Go ahead and make the call. He calls, and instead of seeing Christoph Waltz pick up the phone, you hear a ringtone, like a generic ringtone in the room. And it's in Sudeikis' pocket. He pulls out the phone and says, who could be calling right now? It's an unknown number. Bateman just says, it's me, dickless. And they realize that instead of taping the dark phone under the bench, he's taped his own phone because he was distracted by some women that were jogging because, of course, he's a big horn dog. So while they're trying to figure out what to do,
they're like, well, maybe he won't notice the phone. And he sits down on the bench and notices it immediately. And so they call so he doesn't look through and see our pictures. And so they call and you hear the Roar by Katy Perry. And which the cops are like, Roar by Katy Perry? These guys are confident.
Oh, man. So they're given the instructions to go to.
Wait. They don't just give instructions. So he calls and he answers the phone, and Sudeikis gets on there. He goes, "Oh, looks like a grasshopper found himself a blade of grass to set him on." Which Bateman snatches the phone and goes, "Too much." He sounds like fucking Foghorn Leghorn.
No, it's so over the top. It's the worst accent ever. And it's not just the accent. It's the colloquialisms, like sachet and all these words that nobody talks like that.
Yeah.
So anyways,
they give him the plan, right? They tell him, look, you got to go to the Mandrake Hotel. You're going to go underground to the, level 4 or whatever and go this parking spot. And then Charlie grabs the phone to threaten him. He goes, "We know you got the law with you because that's something we do know. So if any of them follow you, I'm going to personally stick a hot poker so far up your son's ass, I'm going to pop his teeth like popcorn." To which Sudeikis said, like, Bateman grabs the phone away from him, hangs up the phone, and Sudeikis like, "We're back on track. Like, we're good." So now the plan is starting to unravel even more. The masks that they're going to wear are super shitty. Super shitty. There's no costumes, right? There's no bellhop costumes. And when Sudeikis comes out in the Christoph Waltz, disguise, he's like, "Who the hell are you?" To which Sudeikis goes, "It's me, Kurt." Like, he thought the disguise was nice.
You look like Mark Twain.
Like, none of this is how I imagined it, you guys.
Oh man, I forgot about that.
And so they're about to leave. They're about to leave their hotel room to go execute this plan. They open up the hotel room, or they open up the door, and Jennifer Aniston's there. Julie's there, and it basically says that she's going to turn them. She's been following them for weeks, and now she's going to turn them in, right? Unless Dale fucks her. Unless Charlie fucks her.
I believe the term that she uses, unless Dale plows me. Dale says, "Why me? What's so special about me?" At which point both Sudeikis and Dave Bateman, who by the way is truly in love with her, they say, "Oh, that's a fair question. Everyone's wondering." I am.
So she's like, "Do you ever collect anything?" He's like, never collecting. He's like, "Tons of stuff. Encyclopedia Brown," like the new Beanie Babies, which doesn't make any sense. He's like, "Fine, I collect some stuff." She's like, "Well, I collect cocks." Cogs? Cogs. And Bateman corrects cocks. She's like, "Right up here. I've got an impressive trophy room filled with cocks." So they goes, "We're in there." And Bateman goes, "Don't." She's like, I organize them, I alphabetize them, I dust them. Why are they getting it? She's like, "You see that space over the mantle? There's that empty space over the fire mantle or over the fireplace. You see that? He's like, "I got a cock," or he's like, "You got a cock missing." He's like, "That's reserved for the only person who's ever said no to this. That's you, Dale, my white whale." And she says it so lovingly, and Bateman is so disgusted and annoyed because, like you say, he's in love with her.
Oh yeah, So he's like, "Hey, look," and he doesn't say, "Look, I'll fuck you," and then we'll get this over with. He says, "No, what if I make love to you?" He uses the words "make love to you."
He's like, "You know what I'm talking about? Us." She's like, "What?" She's like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "You know what I'm talking about? Us." She's like, "Us? All of us?" So now she wants to have a 4-way.
Yeah. And so she says, "I'm going to go fresh." All right, here we go. What are you doing? She wants us to fuck her. So then they start to try and figure out what is the most appropriate way for Dale to have sex with her where he can feel the least amount of guilt.
Right.
So Sudeikis goes, "How about butt?" Butt, pussy, mouth. He's like, no, I feel like pussy makes me the most guilty. Like, okay, how about that? He still takes butt for himself.
Yeah, he always takes butt for himself.
And it's like, but pussy to Bateman, and you get mouth. And it's like, no, I like this. It's like a shell game. If we just keep moving it around, I don't actually have to be inside of pussy. They're arguing this, and Dale's wife walks in.
Yeah, she's been tracking him on Track My iPhone, right?
Yep. And she hears everything, and she confirms her suspicion that she thinks he's cheating on her. And she's like, I can't believe you do this. This marriage is over. At which point, Sudeikis tries to defend him. Say, no, it's not what it seems like. I chose to ask both.
And so now Dale, like the wife goes storming off with the kids. Dale gets pissed. He's like, all right, he's like, all right. Oh God, what did he say?
You want to fuck? All right. Fuck. I'm like, you ruined my life. You ruined my marriage. I'm about to ruin that pussy. and Bateman said, wait. I thought I had.
No, your face. I'm. Yeah. And he goes, no, this is all me. And Snake's like, what? He goes, let's go do it in the shower. He walks her into the bathroom and then barricades the door. Yeah, locks her and barricades her with a chair. And he's like, all right, let's go. He's like, I may not be able to, save my marriage, but we're not going to go to jail over this, right? So now Bert is in the underground parking garage. They come out.
Ridiculous wig, masks.
Yeah, ridiculous masks.
The money drop is made, and then they've got a gun, but it's not loaded. And they're like, "Hey, don't take a step closer." And he's like, "You people make me sick." Comes up to them, and Bateman pretends to shoot him, except he actually gets shot. Everyone starts freaking out. Like, I thought the gun wasn't loaded, and then they hear a laugh, and it is Chris Pine's character holding a gun. Turns out he shot his own father, and he's laughing hysterically. He's laughing hysterically. You can see the look on you guys' faces. You guys are so ready to argue about whose fault it was, And then he basically reveals his plan to them. All along, I was going to just take the money, but then I realized I could just kill my dad, have you guys take the fall for it, and then I inherit everything. He basically laughs and says, hey, have fun when the cops show up and find you guys as my dead dad. At which point, Sudeikis says, wait. And he pulls out a recorder, which, again, was a callback to the first movie. Yeah. And plays the recording of him admitting everything. And it's like, yeah, that's great. He's like, yeah, checkmate, bitch. And Chris Pine says, yeah, give me that. He takes it. He's like, oh, yeah. He crushes it under his foot. Bateman says, you couldn't, just 2 more minutes. You couldn't keep your mouth shut.
Yeah, when he crushes it, when he steps on it and kicks it into the gutter, he's like, oh, that was a gift.
It was a gift. And so he walks away, and he's like, oh, he's got the blood on his leg. He's like, oh, that's his father's blood on his leg. And he turns around, comes back, and at gunpoint, points at Kurt at Sudeikis and says, what are you, a 32 waist? And Charlie Day says, oh, shit, he's going to rape us. So basically he switches pants with them. And again, Bateman says, you guys can't keep anything to yourselves, can you? And then he throws the gun, and Charlie Day catches it. And says, don't catch the gun. He's like, I can't help it. I've got great hands. Which again is a callback to the first movie where Kevin Spacey throws the gun and Charlie Day, of course, catches it. So now they're screwed. They're here with a bag full of money and a dead dude, and the cops are coming, and a car pulls up. And it's motherfucker Jones.
Yep.
And he says, get in. And he says, and they drive off. And they say, hey, what were you doing in the garage? And he reveals that he had an inkling that they were going to get killed, a double cross and killed. And so he figured it'd be better if I had the money and spent the money rather than some dude that double crossed you killed you, right?
So now he's like, we're gonna get to the warehouse, before Rex. So he's driving crazy all over the town while the police chase him. They get to they like just barely beat a train coming, right? Like he just barely. It's like the classic movie, like goes flying over the train tracks as the train's coming. So he's gotten away from the cops.
That's how you lose the cops.
Yeah, that's how you lose the cops. He's like, wait, we're not supposed to lose the cops. They're supposed to follow us to the warehouse. So then he throws in a reverse. He's just waiting while the train's going. The cops are waiting for the train to end. They're waiting. Sudeikis waves and it's like, we'll just stay here till all this shit goes by. And then we'll all roll. He's like, giving us the detective's like, what are these assholes doing? They think they're that good.
So they sit there, and while they're waiting, it's one of the greatest things. First of all, they look in the back of the truck, and they've got all this, like those clawing posts for cats.
Yeah.
And they said, what the fuck is up with what's this shit in the back of your car? He's like, oh, it's for my kitties. It's like, oh, you got a problem with that? He's very defensive about everything. And so they're all like trying to like, no, it's just a question, dude. You're on edge. And Sudeikis underneath says, I love pussy. You hear that one? Yeah. Then they're sitting there and they're waiting and silence. And Jamie Foxx is eating on a Twizzler. And then he looks over at Charlie Day and offers a Twizzler. And Charlie Day grabs it, kind of nods a thank you. And then right before he's about to bite it, he looks at Sudeikis and offers Twizzler. And he says, yeah. So again, no words spoken. Rips it in half, hands it to him. And then the three of them chew so loudly for so long. It is the most ridiculous scene.
And Bateman's just looking at all of them. He just looks so mad. He looks so annoyed by the chewing.
I mean, it's like obnoxious. Yeah. They're smacking their lips as they eat these Twizzlers. So finally, by the way, he keeps asking, can I go get to the bathroom? Say, no, we're in a car chase. You can't get out the car and go to the bathroom. So at some point, he's like,
fuck it, let's go.
No, he just keeps bringing up, like, I feel like I could have gone and been done by now. He says, fuck it, let's go. Open the door, let him out. Like, he's just so disgusted. And then the train ends. Like, oh, we got to go. They keep driving. They drive up to, they drive through a fence. The fence is dragging, and cops are behind it. They drive actually past Chris Pine, who sees them drive by. They crash over a bridge, which is right over where the warehouse is. Car lands. They go in there. Cops show up, and they say, oh, we beat him here. We beat him here. It's great. And the cops are like, nobody moved. It's like, hey, look, he's not here. The guy who's really doing the kidnapping, he's supposed to be there in that chair, and he'll show up at any moment now. And you mean that guy? And they point to a different corner of the warehouse, and Chris Pine is there, bound and gagged.
Gagged.
They release him. He's like, yes, those are the men that did this to me. And they basically, he basically tries to frame them. The cops tell them to get down on the ground, and we don't want to hear it. Be quiet. And then right at that moment, a phone rings, and it's Katy Perry, Roar. And it's the phone that was Sudeikis' phone because it was in his jeans.
Right.
And when they switched jeans, he never took the phone out. And so they're like, see, that's my phone. That's my phone. How would he have my phone if he was here in the warehouse the whole time? And one of the cops says, to the head detective, sir, Roar was the ringtone earlier. And so Chris Pine says, I like this song. It's inspiration. It's inspirational. So the cop is starting to ask questions now. Chris Pine grabs a cop, puts a gun in his head, says, everyone drop your guns or I'm going to shoot him. There's a lot of side commentary by Sudeikis, Bateman, and Charlie Day saying, look, what innocent person would do this, And so he's starting to get away, and they're like, oh my God, this guy's really going to do it. He's going to hold this cop hostage, and he's going to get away with it.
Yeah.
So Charlie Day gets upset. He says, dude, ruined my life. He ruined my marriages. I'm not going to let him get away with this. So he grabs the predator claw and rushes Chris Pine in a very slow motion, heroic thing. And Chris Pine looks at him and just shoots him.
Shoots him right in the chest.
Shoots him right in the chest. So the cop hits him, and then they subdue Chris Pine because he took his concentration off. And that's when Sudeikis and Bateman arrive.
Oh my God.
And Charlie Day says, did it graze me? And Sudeikis says, nope, it hit you square in the chest. And Bateman's trying to get him, like, oh, yeah, but you're going to be all right? Sudeikis said, no. Now it looks really bad, buddy. So I'm trying to give him hope. Look, if you want hope, listen to Nick. If you want the truth, I'm your guy.
The cop walks over. He goes, hey, he goes, wow, that's a big fucking hole in your chest. And so he starts kind of fading away. We wake up. He wakes up. He wakes up in a hospital bed. Sudeikis and Bateman are standing over him, and he's like, "How long was I out?" He's like, 4 years. He's like,
2 years.
Really? Or 2 years. He's like, really? He's like, no, 4 days.
4 days.
4 days. And Bateman's like, oh, or Sudeikis like, oh, I thought we were gonna run with this.
We have a woman president. Oh my God, man.
So we find out that they still got in trouble with the cops, but they were able to plead down.
Yeah, Julie explained to his wife that she had a sex addiction and she was basically forcing Dale, but Dale was the only person who ever said no to her, and that made his wife in good graces with her. And then as she walks out, Julia tells Dale that, and Dale's like, wait, am I not your white whale anymore? And she says, no, because I don't know if you're familiar with the term of coma boner. Apparently, you can have boner after boner after boner while you're in a coma. And so he realizes that she basically fucked him while he was in a coma. So now he's not her white whale anymore. Her new white whale is Dale's wife. And I'm going to fuck your wife, Dale.
Yeah, she booked a spa day for him, right?
So spa day. They go out. And by the way, this is the part where I actually just took screenshots because I couldn't type fast enough. Bateman and Sudeikis come back in. And, Charlie Day in like a day says, she's going to fuck my wife. And this is when they start tag teaming. I was like, oh, I thought she already did. Oh, boy, yeah, that horse may have left the barn. I figured those guys have been bumping tacos for the last few days. Super touchy-feely lately.
He's like, I can't process this. What's even going on? It's like, they tell him that, the police and everything, they got like a list of felonies and all that, right? They're mugshots. But because they took, he took a bullet and all that stuff, they're okay. He's like, so I'm guessing we saved the business. Like, nope, we did not. Bank foreclosed, and someone bought it at the auction, and to which then we cut to them basically saying, so everything looks good for the quarter. And they're back at the jail, and they're talking to Kevin Spacey on their side. Kevin Spacey is the one who bought the business, and he's their new boss.
And as for the $5 million, we see in a cutaway scene that motherfucker Jones is at Pinkberry, where the head of Pinkberry apparently is Rob Hubel. And he basically says, oh, it's a very hefty financial investment. And so he just dumps the cash on the table and says, how about you start me with 3 of them? And he says, oh, thank you, Mr. Jones. He says, Mr. Jones is my father. Call me motherfucker. And there's your movie.
Roll credits. We got some great outtakes.
Yes.
And that's, man, I would watch 2 hours of outtakes from this movie.
Oh, yeah. Because you realize every scene, they're just fucking around.
Yeah.
They're just, going, like the scene where the maid is scrubbing her ass with the toothbrush. Sudeikis is peering through the closet. He says, I wonder where she got it from. Probably the first movie. And he breaks fourth wall and looks at it. So,
and then when they're hiding in the bushes, he's like, smells like shit. He's like, maybe it's your acting.
Your acting, yeah.
Maze, been very quiet in this one. You want to read us a Tony Medley review?
Sure do. Horrible Bosses 2. I'm not going to give you the rating yet. Amin, you can guess the rating at the end. Not for children. There's a fine line between truly funny and truly idiotic. People like Will Ferrell and Judd Apatow don't recognize this line and cross it constantly, so their films are so fatuous they are insulting. This film approaches the line time and again, but never crosses it. Wow. The result is a film with more laughs than any I've seen in a long time. It's got a brilliant cast with one of my all-time favorite actors, Christoph Waltz, shining in a minor role. But the main cast, Jason Bateman, Jason Sudeikis, Charlie Day, and Chris Pine all shine. The supporting cast constitutes an A-list of leading actors, including Kevin Spacey, Jennifer Aniston, and Jamie Foxx, and all give sparkling performances. Director Sean Anders, who also co-wrote the screenplay with John Morris, keeps the pace up throughout. There wasn't one scene that could have been deleted or that slowed the progress of the film. Wow. As in its predecessor, Bateman is the glue that holds his triumvirate of dummies, Bateman, Sudeikis, and Day, together with their harebrained ideas. It was hard for me to tell who was the funniest. When Pine was on screen, I thought it was maybe he. Naturally, Waltz is in the running. Aniston plays a sex-crazed woman impeccably. Her scenes do contain some language that some might find offensive, but it is its offensiveness that brings the humor. Sudeikis and Day also have their moments, but wait, I was laughing all the time that Fox and Spacey were on screen too. You'll just have to decide for yourself.
Wow.
It's the best review he's ever written in his life.
That's how good this movie is.
9 out of 10?
Yep.
Wow.
I think my favorite is her scenes do contain some language that some might find offensive, but it is its offensiveness that brings the humor.
I like that he took a shot at Ferrell and Apatow.
Right off the top.
That's absolutely no reason.
That's a staple of every Tony Medley review.
I mean, my God.
So are we ready to do this? Is this going to be the first 4-0 sweep?
Oh, with Tony?
Yeah. I don't think we've ever had one where we all loved it. Well, I'm assuming Mays hasn't said much. Mays.
Yeah, Mays, what did you think of this movie? Had you seen it before?
I'd seen it before. I remember liking it when I saw it originally. I remember not liking it as much as the first one, unlike you guys, but I think that was mostly just because I do think the plot is a little tighter in the first movie.
Sure.
It's a little more suspenseful, and the Colin Farrell aspect, he's such a wild card. I do kind of miss him, but the chemistry of these three is pretty much unimpeachable. There's so many jokes, like even with all the jokes that you guys went through, we left a ton out. I think this is maybe the funniest and definitely the hottest that Jennifer Aniston is in any part that she's had. It might be the best part she's ever had, which is weird. The second time around was definitely a good experience, and it's a file for me.
So I'm trying to figure out. I really want to know what is it about this movie that people don't like then?
I don't know.
It just gets too fast? Because there is a point where you start to become overwhelmed, I think, by the jokes are just coming.
It is a lot, but I can't imagine you would not like a movie because there's so many funny jokes.
Horrible Bosses, like we said, seems underrated as well.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, these should both be 90s.
Absolutely.
If this is a retread of the same stuff from the first one that people weren't really that into, I could see how, if it's the same, set of people reviewing it, it's not nearly as bad as The Hangover. I think they did a much better job with the sequel.
Oh, way better. Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm just saying, your point, the point you're making is like The Hangover. Like, it's not like The Hangover.
No, it's not.
No, I mean, you know what it reminds me of? I don't know if you guys feel the same way. I loved 21 Jump Street, the movie with Jonah Hill and Channing Tatum. And then they came out in the second, they did 22 Jump Street. And it's so referential to the first one, and it does a lot of joking about breaking the fourth wall with what sequels are in general. I actually think it's hilarious.
I think it's love this. That's the one where they go to college, right?
Yeah, they go to college, right, instead of going to high school. And
it's and it's got Jillian Bell in it, and she crushes it.
She's amazing. Yeah.
The Hangover.
Came across her on Bumble once, by the way.
No way.
Jillian Bell's on Bumble. Yeah.
No way.
Smash that like button, fam.
I swiped right real hard.
I'm guessing that she didn't.
Nah, never got a match.
So The Hangover got a 78% and an 84 audience score. I'm going to say it right now. This movie's better than Hangover, man.
Yes, 100%. And I love The Hangover. I love The Hangover. This movie's better. Absolutely. I mean, it's file for everybody. Yeah.
Yeah. On every level, this movie's better than Hangover. It's and the chemistry in the cast, the story, everything. I like it so much better. And by the way,
I think you could make an argument the story in The Hangover is better, but this is funnier. The cast is better.
And by the way, they had to add new people, and they still went along with it.
The banter of the three main guys is way better in this movie than The Hangover.
But the idea is that when you insert Pine in, that he keeps up. One of the outtakes is when they're trying to convince Bateman to go through it.
Yeah, they're doing the hype man.
They're doing the hype man thing.
Yeah.
And Sudeikis is literally just muttering. Like he's just waiting for him to say something so that he can just repeat it immediately afterward. Like it was just such good chemistry that man, I don't know, man. Let me put it this way. You could say the storyline was better in The Hangover, whatever. If you had a choice right now, hey man, we're gonna watch a movie. We're gonna sit around and watch this movie. Hangover or Horrible Bosses 2?
Oh, Horrible Bosses 2. No question. No,
because a lot of The Hangover is because you didn't know where the dude was, and once you figured out where the dude was, all right, okay, you can't rewatch The Hangover, not like this. You can watch Horrible Bosses 2 100 times in a row because you'll just hear another joke that you didn't hear the first time.
Yeah, I mean, I've watched this way more than I've watched The Hangover. Way more. And when did The Hangover come out?
According to Rotten Tomatoes, The Hangover, 2009, June 2009.
2009. So that came out 10 years ago. This came out 5 years ago. Yeah. I've definitely watched this way more than I've ever watched The Hangover. And I like The Hangover.
I like The Hangover too, but I just...
Do you like Hangover 2 or you like The Hangover also? You see what I did there?
The first one, not the sequel.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, man. No, this is. I think this is arguably the funniest movie of the last 5 years.
Oh, man, it'd be hard for me to find something funnier.
Yeah, there might be. Yeah, you could maybe say that something's as funny as this movie, but it's
this is the end.
So good.
This is the end.
Is great.
It's the last time I remember laughing that hard at a movie, where I just couldn't breathe the whole time.
Oh my god.
Yeah. The 4.0. This
File,
gets
baby.
the
File
golden
all day.
The golden whatever.
The golden reel. The golden popcorn.
Yeah, the golden popcorn, which I think is an MTV movie.
Yeah.
Things.
Shit. Golden reel. What would our thing be? A golden cage?
Oh, what does Cinephobe have to do? Like what?
I would say it's probably a golden dumpster, right?
Yeah, golden dumpster. There you go.
There it is. The first golden dumpster. 4-way sweep of Tony Medley, Amin Al-Hassan, Anthony Mayes, and myself, Zach Harper. Thanks for subscribing. Remember, this is on the new feed, so retweet so people know the new feed. Give us a rating on there if you don't mind. Give us a review on there if you don't mind. You can always sign up for the Patreon, patreon.com/countthedings, and join the conversation in the Discord and talk about the movies in there. For Amin, for Maze, I'm Zach Harper. Thanks for enjoying Cinephobe.